Hello, everyone. Welcome in to a brand new week of Snaps, your favorite daily college football podcast. I am one of your hosts, T-Bob Hebert, joined as always by our guy, QB1 over there in Atlanta, Mr. Aaron Murray. Aaron, what's up? Did you win the Murray Man golf outing last Thursday? Or when did we talk to you last? On Friday. I made you come on the radio with me, and you were on the way to go play golf with your brother and your father. I saw a picture. Everybody looked beautiful. Who ended up taking it home?
And don't forget, Mama Murray was there too, just showing us how it's done. There's nothing better than waking up on a Friday morning. I love waking up knowing that I'm going to get to play golf. Like, you wake up a little pep in the step, and I wake up to an explicit from T-Bob, like, you are coming on my blank show. What time do you want to come on? Like, good morning to you too, T-Bob.
Look, dude, I'm up at 5 a.m. Jake was still out. I was solo hosting. I just needed someone to help me kill a segment.
Because you were out in Disney.
Yeah. No, we had our boy Mario Jerez. Shout out Mario Jerez, one of our producers, hosts when we're out. But no, look, I have no problem doing a solo show, right? They're great, whatever. But, it's always nice to hit up a homie to kill a segment. So I have to tell you why you're wrong, and Anthony Richardson should be the number one overall pick, and then you got to go golfing afterwards.
So our conversation was just so good. Our conversation was so good on Thursday. So for those who missed that, please go back and check that one out. Dealing with this whole Anthony Richardson debacle at number one. We are on very opposite ends of the spectrum here, T-Bob and myself. So if you missed it, go back. But it was just so good that we had to run it back again the next day on local radio there in Baton Rouge, which was always fun. T-Bob had my mom and dad dying laughing in the car, though.
Nice.
We were talking about the importance of centers and quarterbacks. They were rolling a little bit on that one. But no, back to the golf. Since I'm a professional golfer now, you see me with my sponsored Nike hat at the moment. Josh whooped my ass. I'm not gonna lie. It's a kind of tough. I'm gonna be honest right now because we're very competitive. We're 6 years apart, so like we couldn't be super competitive growing up because obviously he's gonna beat my ass. He's bigger, he's older, he's stronger, he's all that. But like when I got to essentially when we both maxed out our physical prowess, like size, strength, all of that, we could compete on somewhat of a level playing field. So when we get out there and play golf, I would say 60% of the time it usually ends up in some sort of battle of words. There's some cussing involved. Dad has gonna have to step in between us once or twice on a green before.
What?
There was actually one time, this is my dad's birthday weekend, actually. We're playing golf, and it got so heated that I ended up like leaving the round, texting Sharon to get Maddox that we were leaving the lake house, going back to Atlanta. And Josh and I ended up like not speaking for about 4 months afterwards. So it gets really, really heated.
Aaron, that is unhinged.
That is unhealthy.
But there were some like other ongoing things.
No, for sure, obviously.
There was going on. There was some other stuff going on that like no one was willing to say something, but then all of a sudden
it all came to a head.
It got so heated on the golf course, and then that carried over to it. And then all of a sudden, like, just lots of cussing going on. My dad's sprinting up the fairway because it's his home golf course. Again, between both of us, we're making a scene. It got a little bit too aggressive. But anyways, we get very competitive on the golf course. So when I beat him, I know it, kind of ticks him off a little bit. When he beats me, it really doesn't ruin my day. But I'm like going
with
over
the
my head
benefit
how
of hindsight, Aaron. Yep. Who was in the wrong, him or you?
On the big fight? Like the one that was like, we didn't talk for much. He was in the wrong. He crossed the line.
Would he agree? Would he agree with this?
Do we want to break down the Murray brawl on the Cusquela Golf Course in 60 seconds? You want me to break it down?
We'll see I don't know, dude. That's up to you. I'll leave that to you. You make that choice.
So Josh was sitting on one side of the fairway. I was on the other side helping my brother-in-law find his ball. Josh hits it. I get up, go to hit my ball afterwards. I didn't see Josh's ball or where it hit it or any of that. I hit it. I kind of shank it a little bit, and I yell 4. I guess I didn't yell 4 enough. It went over Josh's head, so he's kind of pissed off already that like the ball got close to him. I'm like, I yelled 4. Anyways, we come up to the green. He's on the other side of the green. I'm on this side. He said he can't find his golf ball. So he said, I hit it perfect. I just can't. And he's like, I hit it perfect. I'm like, well, if you hit it perfect, you'd be able to find it. So obviously you didn't. So that kind of pissed him off a little bit. He said, what did you say to me? I said, if you would have hit it perfect, you would have been able to find it. So obviously you didn't hit it that well. That's why it's gone. And then it started this whole shouting match about some political stuff that was going on at the time that we're on different sides of. Turned into, I think I said like, F you. He said, say that to my face one more time. So I said, okay, F you. So then he sprints across the green, gets in my face, says that he's going to beat my ass if I say it one more time. Then my dad's running up the fairway. He gets in between both of us. Some other things were heated, like, Sharon runs the household kind of thing. Called out my man.
Hey, that's a flex though, dude. If your wife is more badass than you, I've never understood that as a criticism. That's an inherent flex. Oh yeah, like sorry, my wife's hot and she's a lawyer and like kicks ass. Like I don't know what your point is.
She has a pretty strong opinion about things, and I kind of agreed with her, even though they're different than yours at times. So it was a fun little battle. So turned into us leaving the lake a little early and us not talking for a couple months, but we're good now. So we've learned from our mistakes. We never go that far anymore. But yes, we do get very competitive on the golf course.
It doesn't even sound like things went that far. I mean, I guess they did.
I'm not getting the full. I didn't get in the full.
Yeah. Okay. Because I was all pretty meathead based. You're basically like, bad shot, bro. And they're like, well, what'd you fucking say? Say it to my face. and then it's classic. Look, politics, right? That's why you avoid
the classic. If you weren't my brother, I'd beat your ass right now. Quote that's happened a couple times in our life.
See, I feel like it's easier to beat your brother's ass. I'm not trying to beat some random person's ass. Like that's actually fucked up. Like fighting with your brother is what it is.
Literally throw hands. Like you.
No, I guess me. No, I guess me and my brother never have. That's fair. That's fair.
There was a moment though I thought he was, and I was like kind of go through my head like, what happens if he does actually throw a punch?
He's big, dude. He looked pretty big in that picture, Aaron. He looked a little thicker.
He's bigger than I am. He is. Yeah. He's thicker. He's like a good inch taller, probably about 15 pounds heavier. But I'm also very svelte at the moment. I'm
I knew that like Jordan Rodgers and Aaron Rodgers don't talk anymore. I don't want another bachelor brother breakup, dude. Okay, come on. Y'all need to solve these wounds. It'll be all good.
We're good. We're good.
All right. Oh, we're good. Okay, we're already good. Okay, perfect. Okay, did not expect this to go this way. Here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about Florida State, as Florida State is in the news. Some news that broke around Friday, but the kind of first shot across the ACC bow as Florida State. We've talked about how bad the ACC TV deal is for a while and kind of refresh you on that. But Florida State being the first big brand to come out and say it's untenable, like something must change. And we'll get into whether or not it can. We'll also talk to some of the rumors surrounding the first round pick, maybe do a meta take conversation on the conversation around the first round pick, because it is a wonderful, unending gold mine that will continue to bear resources and dividends for the next 8 weeks as we prepare for this NFL draft. And as always, we'll get to your comments in the chat. So youtube.com/the volume. I'm trying out a new thing here where, like, hit the like button if you hate animal abuse. Okay. What's something, think of things that are universally hated that there's no problem with everything hated on. And if you hate that, hit the like button. Okay. And sub to the pod and rate and review. If you enjoy the pod, rate and review, that all helps. And if you sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook app, use the promo code SNAPS. All right, let's dive in to Florida State. Now, I believe this needs a bit of setup. For those that don't know, the ACC has a deal where teams are currently locked in through 2036. It does not behoove ESPN or the ACC to allow any teams to move or to try to add, because it is a deal that falls apart, I believe, if the membership, like if the institution membership changes, right? So they have a deal where their media. I'm kind of butchering how I want to set this up. Everybody in the ACC is locked in through 2036. It's a grant of rights deal, which means that any money that the ACC makes off of TV broadcasts, any money that any of the schools in the ACC make off of TV broadcasts belong to the ACC. So you'll see later on people talking about the exit fee that Florida State would have to pay just to get out of the conference, but that is actually separate from the money that they would have to pay to get out of this grant of rights agreement. So they're kind of locked in multiple ways. But bottom line is, it's a bad TV deal that goes through 2036, and we'll see them make approximately $30 million less than their peers in the Big Ten and the SEC. And Florida State AD Michael Alford got out there on Friday in front of the university's board of trustees and said that something has to change, saying that it is, quote, impossible for Florida State to continue to compete at that sort of revenue deficit.
No, it is. I mean, when you're trying to get to the level of Georgia or Alabama or anyone in the Big Ten, because it's a big brand. I mean, let's be real. Like Clemson, what Clemson has done under Dabo for the past decade, I mean, they were thought to be like the next dynasty, and they're still not gone anywhere. I mean, they were one game away from still being able to make the playoffs this past season. Clemson is still very relevant. It seems like Florida State is in a place right now under Norvell, believe it or not, that they're going to be very competitive and have a chance to, in my opinion, to be the front runner to actually make the playoff next year, if anyone's going to make the playoff from the ACC. But we're not just talking about 1 year of success. These programs understand, like, I need to build longevity. What do you need? Just like any other business, what do you need in order to build the biggest, baddest facilities, to equipment, to experiences for your fans? You need money. And when Georgia and Alabama and Ohio State and Michigan are getting paid $30 million more than you every single year. And also, let's not forget, T, that in 6-7 years, both those deals are up. So the SEC is going to be able to re-up, which that 30 is probably going to go higher. The Big Ten is going to be able to re-up and renegotiate a new deal. That deal is going to be higher. So it's at $30 million right now. That's probably going to be closer to 35, 40, if not more, before the ACC's deal is going to run up in 2036. So you need the money. You do. If you want to build consistency, if you want to build championships, if you want to put people in the seats and give them a hell of an experience, you need to find ways to make money where you're not having to go to a booster and say, hey, listen, we have this gap. We need money to pay for X. We also need money to pay for collective and NIL and this and that. They're going to get sick of it. They don't have enough money to do all that. So the reason why an SEC team can maybe a little bit here or there to Joe Smo, big time booster. Hey, we appreciate your check. We would rather you kind of put it towards the players. We got it covered. We're getting paid $30 million more in all these ACC schools. We're getting paid $30 million more than everyone else. We don't need your money to build new facilities. We'll take care of that. We just need you to make sure these players are happy. So Florida State and these ACC schools are battling on all fronts right now because of this money deficit. So I understand them wanting to get out. I would love as SEC guys if we got Miami, if we got Florida State, if we got Clemson, if we got North Carolina. Imagine adding those 4 brands to the SEC to lock up the state of Florida as an SEC, essentially an SEC state, pretty much. I know UCF is now a big, Power 5 school, but still, that would be monstrous for this conference. But you sign the deal, and if there was a way to get out of it, I'm sure that would have been found by now. Unless you're going to write some astronomical big check that I don't think, right now doesn't seem feasible.
I think, okay, I think I want to get into some of the specific numbers. Also, the idea of fully locking up the entire state of Florida gives it a very Civil War sort of feel. Brum, do you think it would be problematic to rename the SEC the Confederacy and the Big Ten the Union?
Can't imagine what would go wrong there.
Yeah, I mean, right? Yeah, and then you use the
there is a very big joke there that, naming the Confederacy and the Union in the Big Ten's conference is Fox.
And look, and then the tagline is the Confederacy, the South will rise again. I'm a marketing genius, guys. I don't know.
And then you can come out and say it's only halftime, nothing bad can happen here.
Okay, let's get into some of the numbers that Aaron's alluding to, though, here. Get into exact numbers. The Big Ten right now has a deal that would pay schools $80 million a year. It starts in 2023. It ends in 2031. The SEC has a deal which will be adjusted somewhat. I'm not sure how far, as they're renegotiating good faith right now in ESPN with the Texas and Oklahoma editions. But the SEC schools get 72 a year, starts in 24, ends in 34. Now, real quick note there. I have to imagine in the renegotiations, the SEC is somehow trying to get more than the 80 per that the Big Ten negotiated. Yep. I also don't exactly know how they're going to be able to do that. Like if they can justify that in these negotiations, we'll see. Because right now, just between the Big Two, the Big Ten kind of outflanked the SEC. Like Kevin Warren did a masterful job. He got more per year, and the deal comes up sooner, meaning he gets to hit the renegotiation table sooner. I mean, he outflanked him a little bit. Now, it's not a major difference. It's not one that's going to backbreak anybody, but it is a difference.
No, it is. But I think you want to talk about going to the table, going to the table to Fox and CBS and NBC, who are the partners now with the Big Ten, and saying, hey, we're gonna add 2 schools from LA. I think that's obviously it's a major market. But for the SEC now to be able to go back to the tables and say we just added Texas and Oklahoma, and we want another $9 million per school to be more than the Big Ten. I think that's a pretty valid argument.
14, what are we looking at? We're looking at like over 100 million. Okay,
to add Texas,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And Oklahoma,
maybe I don't know that math.
I think it's a good argument for the SEC.
But you're right. It feels stronger now that we've talked it out than maybe I thought it did on the surface. Now, okay, so Big Ten 80, SEC 72. ACC members are getting 42 million. And that's a deal that runs through 2036. Also, that 42 million, according to Alford, the Florida State AD, includes the kitchen sink. I don't even think the Big Ten or the SEC deals had the kitchen sink. Like that 42 million he's saying is when you throw everything in there. That's the number that they're hitting. And I was reading a Tallahassee Democrat article about this, and this is, I'm not 100% sure what it is in the grant of rights deal and how it differs from the SEC's deal and why this would be the case. But according to the Tallahassee Democrat, because Florida State they're not privy to any of the TV money that is made, that in just 3 years, they could trail Florida by $90 million in yearly revenue. Again, I tried to figure out exactly how that number was arrived at. I couldn't do it, but just know that that is a number that is floating around there. And granted, it's a number that FSU wants out there because they want to be like, look, this is serious. Now, I will say this.
It is serious.
There's some napkin math that seems to make a lot of sense here. If you're saying, okay, so the SEC's exit fee would be $120 million. And you're like, okay, well, then if you're making $30 million less a year and it's $120 million exit fee, well, then do it. And in 4 years, you've broken even, right? And then you're going to make up way more money over time. Except, once again, because it's grant of rights, it's not just the exit fee you have to pay. You actually have to buy back those media rights. So we're talking about buying back 13 years worth of media rights. Texas and Oklahoma just did it for 1 year, Aaron. They paid $50 million a piece. If you just use that as a rough metric, you could be talking about maybe $400 million for FSU. Now, granted, look, if you're a higher ed guy, look, isn't that what endowments are for? Okay, screw your endowment. We're trying to play football. But in all seriousness, Florida State is in a literal a true rock in a hard place. Like they can't get out and they can't keep up, right? I mean, financially, it doesn't make any sense with those numbers being the case. Yep. And then they can't keep up. They say it's impossible. So I'm still a bit unclear as to what Alford's end game with all of this is. Brum, I want to ask you a question. Could you go full anarchy here? You try to break your contract, force out of grant of rights, force everything, and force ESPN to sue you and try to break you. How bad of PR would it be for Disney to ruin a higher ed institution because they broke their TV contract?
It's just so I've never thought of that, but
yeah, you like that?
I do.
Yeah, but what conference does Florida State join?
ESPN versus the Seminoles.
What conference do they join? I mean, we're anticipating probably the SEC, whose deal is with ESPN. That's the problem. You want to piss off the hand that is going to feed you next?
Yeah, true. No, I mean, okay. In all seriousness, I don't think you can break a contract. I do love the fantasy of if push came to shove, would ESPN sue them into oblivion and try to bankrupt an institution of higher education? But I don't think it's
what happens to the ACC. I think that's the big question. If you can't get out of this, you can't. You're stuck. If there was a path, I would have thought by now there would be a smart enough people to have been able to find that loophole to get out of this deal. They are working very hard to do it. They haven't. This contract was written extremely well, which it should be. It's a lot of money. Only 40. That's a lot of money these schools are still getting per year. If they can't, and they are just, man, this sucks, but we're in here for the next, 2023, next 13 years, 14 years. Does all the momentum that Florida State has gained this past year, all the momentum that Clemson has built up over the past decade plus, does the ACC essentially become irrelevant in 3 years when that gap becomes so significant between them and the Big Ten and SEC? I mean, how do you compete? I don't know how you do.
Yeah,
as a player, you know all this, and you're going to be told all this. Hey, you will get taken care of at X university in the Big Ten or the SEC. You know why? Because we're getting paid $40 million more per year than every other school you're looking at in the ACC. It's you can't be competitive. You really can't. I mean, that's why they're stressing, and that's why they're essentially pleading and making it as public as possible that it is right now a moment of desperation for a lot of these sporting programs of being able to compete at a national level.
Yes, and that's the important part at a national level, right? They could probably still beat most of, your conference, but if they're trying to keep up with, which Florida State views themselves this way, even though they haven't been this way in a while, though they're trending there. But if they want to be a top 10 team, well, this is just going to, like Alfred said, make it impossible. You mentioned what happened to the ACC, and here's where I believe that we arrive at the canary in the coal mine and why this could all end up very badly for the ACC, is that one of Florida State's main complaints in all of this is that on top of not making as much, that they are not being appropriately rewarded for what they bring to the conference. Alford had a market valuation commissioned, right, for FSU's value to the ACC. And they came back and they said Florida State represents roughly 15% of the ACC's media rights of the entire deal, that Florida State and the eyeballs that they bring and the revenue they generate basically create about 15% of that deal. However, due to equal splits, they only receive 7% of the distribution. Florida State also represents 70% more TV viewers than your ACC average football team. I mean, last year they had some of the highest watched games of all season. Their Friday rival game against Florida nearly hit 7 million. LSU, Florida State. Okay, not ass whooping, a great game though. But that Sunday night, that was over 7 million. They've had 17 different games.
They're playing in probably the biggest non-conference game of the year. If you look ahead, like that LSU Florida State game is probably going to be one of the 5 most watched games of the year next year.
So I don't need to belabor the point anymore. We all understand that FSU is saying, okay, we're being paid equal, but we bring more to the table than these other schools that are getting the same thing as we are. And they're not wrong. And what it's led to is discussion amongst the schools about revenue redistribution, right? Where bigger brands like Florida State and Clemson will get more since they drive more. This, though, is the canary in the coal mines, right? If these are the conversations you're having, it's only going to end in disaster. Why would a smaller school ever agree to that deal? Like, if I'm someone who's being propped up, why would I ever agree? All you're doing is creating the exact same situation that Florida State is in right now, but on a micro scale, right? Like, Florida State is upset because they're not being paid as much as the peers that they're trying to compete with. If all of a sudden you're giving Florida State relative equal revenue where they're getting 15%, and I don't know, Louisville is getting 4%. Well, then Louisville's like, well, what the hell, man? I'm trying to compete with my peers, and I'm not getting what I'm worth. So, that is unsustainable in a conference to me. So if they actually ever pass revenue redistribution, I do feel like that's probably the beginning of the end. I guess the only thing I can't get at, boys, and Aaron,
that ain't gonna happen.
Maybe no. I don't think it will.
No
why would this small school never agree? But
why are they? Yeah, sure. Let's keep Florida State happy and let's get them paid more while we suffer. Yeah.
But this is the exact thing that broke the Big 12, right? Like, if you really trace it all the way back, was Texas saying, look, our brand's bigger. We want a TV station. We're all bigger. We mean more than you. And it led to everybody leaving. And now look at where the Big 12 is. Correct. The Big 12 stabilized, but they're not what they were, or not what they could have been and should have been in this recent era of sports. But my question is, boys, and either of y'all can take it, what is Alford's end game here? Because as much as a story like this makes us all feel very new, there's little new information in here. And there was no at the end, like, and here's the path out. It was basically just like, this is fucked. And then he just walked off.
Well, I do like the studies that were conducted, though. I do think that when you put numbers to something and people can see, like, oh my gosh, they're generating this many views, they're generating this much money, this is what they should be getting based on, the how big of a program it is, which it still is impressive. Like, what they've been able to do through the hard time since 2013 when they won a national championship, it does show you that this is one of the premier programs in the Southeast, regardless of conference, regardless of how well they've done over the past decade. It's still Florida State. It's still a massive fan base. It's still a massive brand, and they should be getting paid on the same playing field as a Georgia, as an Alabama, as an LSU, as a Auburn. Like, that is who they are, as a Florida, obviously being their in-state rival there. So, like, anytime, once again, that you could put numbers for people to really sit back and say, wow, this sucks, is great. But like you alluded to, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter that you can illustrate that we deserve this, that we bring this many views, that we get this much recognition, that our fans love us this much. That's all well and great and good and all that good stuff. But until you actually have a plan to get out of the grant of rights deal, it's just a bunch of bitching and moaning and crying and we wish we could get out of this. And that's it.
It's like you come to my office and you're like yelling and your boss just like, yeah, man, I feel you.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah.
But then never follows up. Just again, that sucks, dude. Hey, look, I'd be mad too if it were me, you know? Hey, what are you gonna do?
I think what he T-Bob, if you're asking what he is angling, I think he is angling for
what's the angle?
The uneven distribution of the money.
Okay, that makes sense.
That ain't happening.
Of course, I think both are extremely unlikely, but I think getting out of the grant of rights deal is less likely than a uneven revenue split.
Imagine having to pay 120 million. Like, let's just forget about grant of rights. So again, that's the real price. But imagine in the NIL era, even having to pay 120 million just to get out, right? And I'll say this too, is that this is a conversation that also does shift over time. Whereas right now it's not economically feasible for them to get out, or doesn't feel like it because of the high price tag. But also at the same time, that gap isn't at $30 million quite yet. We're a few years away from that. I guess when we revisit, like, Florida State has to almost try to thread this needle potentially. Okay, how many years can we get closer to the expiration of this deal so it's cheaper to leave, combined with like how many years can we operate making less and less and less before we're just way too far backwards to catch up. So this is a conversation that will be going on for years. It's a bit of a moving target, but yeah, it's
will an ACC team win a national championship in the next 13 years?
I mean, you're asking me, will Clemson win a national championship in the next 13 years?
No,
I don't think.
I think
I'm not sold on Florida State anyway.
I'm not
sold on Florida State. You are.
And I'm especially sold on Miami too. I mean, Miami is coming in steam train. They're moving right now.
Are you okay?
You are. Did their big booster just get in trouble with the Cavalier twins? Is that what I saw too? A lot of good news coming out of Miami.
Who are the Cavalier twins?
Those are the TikTok women's basketball stars. Think of like the Olivia Dunn Dune of women's basketball, but there's two of them. They go to Miami.
But there's two of them.
Yep.
And they got in trouble for going to a
This all
dinner,
sounds very greasy. I don't know what's going on here.
Yes.
I don't know.
Are you saying a shadowy figure at Miami might have gotten in trouble for making greasy payments in college sports? Doesn't seem likely, T-Bob.
Pre them being actually signed to Miami, yeah.
What are we doing? Are we really trying? I mean, if you open the inducement, like if you actually open the paying to recruit kids door, you're going to have to nail everyone. Or I guess maybe you just do Miami because you always do Miami and you use them to be like, look, don't do this. I don't know. That seems like, I don't know if I just want to blanket say I support John Ruiz because that feels very sketchy, but I'm not upset with Miami paying for kids to go to their school. That's what everybody is doing right now. Also, that would be the height of NCAA absurdity if as Blake Walters is saying in the chat, if they get in trouble for a dinner at his house at a time when people are making millions of dollars. You're telling me a dinner is the recruiting violation that we're going to look to hang someone on? I mean, I guess that's like getting like, I don't know, like a 1930s mobster on tax evasion instead of murder. But that's
I heard there was like 10,000 bottles, $10,000 worth of like wine was drunk, and special steaks were made. Like it was an expensive dinner.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck. Like, who cares? Who cares? Like, I don't care. I thought we were done with all this nonsense. It's just whining and dining, dude, trying to get people to.
There's no more rules. Let's just say, screw it. Just let everyone pay. If you want to pay, if you want to spend your hard-earned money on a 17-year-old kid to induce him to go to university, or a pair of twins from, I forget where they were before, to come to university, then good for it's your money. Do what you want with it. Have some fun.
Yeah,
good for the kids for being paid.
Also, like, isn't that basically what Mark Emmert did in ushering the NCAA into all this? He basically said, fuck it, no rules. Just let it ride, see what happens.
But back to the question, though. I will say this. No, an ACC team will not win a national championship in the next 13 years. And I think the chance of them winning it obviously is going to jump significantly come 2025. Like, I don't think they get into a national championship and starting in 3 years until this grant of rights is done with.
Here's what I was going to say. My problem is like that. Let's say they all made equal money though. And I could still maybe answer that question. No, an ACC team will not win the national championship. So like already they're behind, and then they're only going to get further and further behind. So unfortunately for FSU fans, right when you're getting back, it feels like you're maybe farther away than ever. Hey, guess what? Okay, so I was thinking about Anthony Richardson, as I do. And Aaron, when it came to the weight room and workouts and stuff, were you a fake it till you make it guy? Like in terms of attitude?
No. I was a fake it till you make it in mat drills. Like
yeah, that's what I mean.
Yelling.
What I'm saying is like a day where you're just not into it. You don't want to be there. But, the best way to handle it is if I just force myself to be positive, it's going to come around, right? Well, Brum, you'll appreciate this. How do you feel about fake it till you take it? Because this Anthony Richardson thing started as a joke with me, but now I fully believe it. More and more every single day, I believe the take that Anthony Richardson should be the number 1 overall pick of the draft. And the interesting part now is that the Bears could trade their first overall pick, according to Adam Schefter. Imagine that, right? Start kicking off a Monday news cycle. Bears could trade the number 1 pick, And what's fascinating about this, Aaron, we talked a bit about it on AMP, but this is the equivalent of hitting an aura, just a vein of pure gold, and you're an old prospector in the mountains. Like the amount of conversations you can have over the next 2 months is unending because you got all the elements. You got a premier franchise in the NFL and the Bears who think they have a franchise quarterback, but they're not sure. So you have like the will you, won't you bail on him on Justin Fields conversation. Then you look at the potential trade partners. If you do trade the pick, you've got Houston at 2, you got Indianapolis at 4, you got Vegas, Atlanta, Carolina at 7, 8, 9. So already there, we've got 5 quick, easy suitors that you can be like, I don't know, man. You love that quarterback? Oh, well, guess what? I might trade it to this other team. And then the other part is you have a quarterback class where there's no consensus number 1 option. This is not just draft Joe Burrow and everything else works out. Like even within this, there's going to be posturing about, well, is this guy actually number 1? Well, we love this guy. So like this is a conversation.
Sources are saying the Colts actually really love Will Levis, and that could be their
That's what I was going to say. 3 weeks ago it was. Like 3 weeks ago, the rumors was the Colts are in love with Will Levis. Then all of a sudden we fast forward 2 weeks later, and all of a sudden, okay, the Colts are going to trade up to get Anthony Richardson. Next week, it's going to be the Colts trade up to get Bryce Young. The following week, it's going to be they're going to get C.J. Stroud. Like we're about to hit the combine, so a lot of things will change. I think that only benefits Anthony Richardson, obviously with his size and Greek goddess body. But
goddess,
Greek god body, goddess, goddess. Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah. No, God. I think God is what you're looking for. Yeah.
And I know you love to bring back the Josh Allen comparisons of, but look, everyone's talking about Josh Allen and everyone's talking about, look what you could build from a quarterback that just has natural gifts. I will bring up last year's NFL draft. Like, look at what happened. Like, what did we talk about from January leading up to draft day? All these quarterbacks can get taken in the first round. All these guys are going to be top 15, and you better trade up if you want a quarterback. You better trade up. And all of them fell. Yeah. Kenny Pickett was drafted, like 18th, 19th? And then the rest of them were like second, third, fourth round.
Love it.
Like, it's just like, to me, I will say right now, I think that is more likely to happen. These guys falling late into the first round, into the second, than Anthony Richardson getting drafted in the first round. We were so high on all those quarterbacks. These NFL GMs and coaches were smart enough to say, no, they're not that good. No, they're not ready. And you saw them fall. I will say that is more likely to happen than Anthony Richardson getting picked first overall. That is way too high for a guy that has way too many questions.
Who's falling?
You went from first overall to first round, though. That's a wide
berth. No, that's what I'm saying. Brum, is this so? Fake it till you take it. It's a segment where you say your craziest takes that you might actually believe. Aaron, do you actually believe that Anthony Richardson is not going to go first round?
No, he's going to go first round.
You don't. Exactly.
He shouldn't go first round. He shouldn't go first round. The only reason he's going first round.
Who are you to say that? Who are you to say that?
Just let me finish. The only reason he's going first round is because when the teams that you just listed, and we talked about this 3 weeks ago with just This is by far the neediest quarterback league I've ever seen, like ever. Since my time of watching NFL football, I've never seen so many teams that need a quarterback, that are desperate for a quarterback. I mean, literally 80% of the NFC needs a quarterback. I mean, you go through them right now. Washington needs a quarterback. Detroit, I mean, do you love Jared Goff? Do you not? Is he going to win? Aaron Rodgers, is he coming back? Do you really trust the guy you drafted 4 years ago that's been riding the pine? Kirk Cousins, is he good enough to win a Super Bowl? Atlanta Falcons need a quarterback. Carolina needs a quarterback. New Orleans Saints need a quarterback. Tampa Bay Buccaneers need a quarterback. Arizona has a new...
Whoa. Tampa has Kyle Trask, okay?
Yeah,
relax.
Tampa has Kyle Trask. San Francisco needs a quarterback. Seattle, I mean, do you need a new quarterback? Like, there is so many teams in the NFL right now that look at the top quarterbacks in this league, and you go from the top quarterbacks from, Patrick Mahomes and that group of 4 or 5, there is a significant drop to that next tier. It's not like, oh, we're right there. Maybe we can get lucky if we put enough good guys around them. No. From the top 5 guys in the NFL to the next top grouping of 5, there's a big drop. And the NFL knows if you don't have a quarterback, you're in big trouble for trying to win a championship. So they are going to have to reach on a lot of these guys. So that is the only reason why. If the NFL was better right now with quarterback play, he's not a first-round pick, but it's not. So it's his perfect situation. It was smart by him. I thought he should stay. I thought it'd be better for him. It was smart by Anthony Richardson to leave. He knew that this was a quarterback league that needed a lot of quarterbacks and not a great draft of quarterbacks, and that he could be picked inside the top 10 because of all those factors.
It's a classic, surrounding yourself with ugly people to appear better looking, or the NFL's a sausage party right now, and finally Schefter sent out a text and he got a few girls over, and now so you got like 32 guys going against the 4 girls. Let's see what happens. And obviously we can switch the sexes, like it could be a taco party, right? And finally 4 bros walk through the door. I don't mean it like that. Like, this is a gender fluid conversation in terms of who wants to bang who. But the point is, like Aaron's saying, there's a bunch of horny NFL teams and only a few targets to go around.
What do you think about the segment "Take It or Fake It," where I throw out a take, and then essentially you have to either say I'm taking it or you're faking it. So you see what I'm saying? Like, it's like, I throw an outlandish thing like Bryce Young will fall outside of the top 3, and you have to either accept it or call bullshit. Is essentially the name of the game.
Yeah, I don't hate it. And if I call you out for faking it, though, are you ever actually faking it, or then do you offer me justification as to your take?
Yes.
Like, am I answering whether or not I take it, or you are asking me if I think you take it?
I haven't really worked through I haven't totally workshopped the game yet, but I am
just brainstorm a little bit.
We're just brainstorming. We're just coming up with segments on the fly in the middle of the show.
Yeah, and then loser gets pegged. Like Thomas Dare says, segment name, you got pegged, instead of jacked up.
It's like jacked up, but
you got pegged. And then it's just like a Photoshop of Eric Bieniemy pegging Twitter, because everybody's on Twitter like, he's not ready to be a head coach. But when he balls out with if Eric Bieniemy makes the Commanders offense good next year, I will. Whatever. He should already be an NFL coach, in my opinion. That's crazy. Derek Thompson says Pac-12 will be better than the ACC this year. Derek, I think they were already better last year. What?
They were better last
year. Pac-12's in trouble, but he said this year, to be fair. And when you look, I mean, you got to go all the way down to Florida State at 11 to get to an ACC team. You got Washington checking in at 8, Utah at 10.
Better.
What's that? Yeah, the Pac-12's
better. I just don't know if the Pac-12 is going to be around by the season time. Like,
well, hold on. You don't like Ion?
Maybe. Yeah, Ion, Apple, like that gets me. You said it last year. Like, the streaming bubbles bursted, man. Like that is not going to save you. So. It wouldn't. I don't think it would happen that fast. Like, if I would not be like SEC media days. We're at SEC media days or Big Ten media days, and all of a sudden the commissioner gets up there and says, "Okay, guys, big news: Oregon and Washington join the Big Ten. Colorado's going back to the Big 12." Like, it would not. That would be smart on their part, with this going on right now. And I'm sure they're kind of looking. It's like, wow, really, this is the best that we're about to get.
Speaking of you've got pegged, that would be Oregon to the Pac-12.
You got pegged. Yeah.
So like that. They would have to. I'm sure they wouldn't make the move right away. They would have to be one more year. So next year, yes, Pac-12 will be good. But in 2 years, there is not going to be a Pac-12 in 2 years. It just
2 years. Ooh, boy,
2 years.
Oh man, that's crazy to wrap my head around. I don't know about the timing of all this. I guess anytime I talk about these things, I'm always just assuming that we're talking about some like far-flung date in the future when it will all come to pass. What would be some other you got pegged moments of the weekend? Did y'all see the Iowa coach Fran stare down the referee? Did the referee get pegged there? Maybe so. Joel Embiid making that full court shot, but it not counting. You got pegged. Jake Paul losing the fight. You got pegged.
Yeah, come on.
Shout out Thomas Dare for the "You Got Pegged" segment. I might actually bring this on
to
my
take it back to
show.
AMP, Aquaman: The Last Kingdom.
You got pegged, exactly, dude. For those that don't know, some reports are that people are walking out of the test screenings of Aquaman 2, and that it might be the worst DC movie ever made, which is really, really saying something in a world where Suicide Squad 1 was made.
Have you seen Black Adam? T-Bob?
No. I mean, you think that Black Adam was going to get me to the theater?
But it's on HBO Max now.
Oh, really? I did not realize that. No, I will not be watching Black Adam. I have way too much stuff to watch. And before you're like, T-Bob, Black Adam's a cool character. I fucking love DC Comics, okay? Black Adam is an incredible comic book character. A bit anti-hero. He's the leader of a fake but you know, it's supposed like a Middle East city state, right? Like there's a lot of fascinating storylines that you can play with when it comes to Black Adam and that character. Everything I saw from the preview told me that the actual movie did none of that. They just
I do want to get your movie. I want to get your movie recommendation on this since we're on this topic real quick.
Yeah, what we got?
Or not pegging. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
Oh, yeah. Are you ready to get your heart pegged with love? Like if you're into pegging, then watch Everything Everywhere All at Once and you will get pegged. That is, and I know Brum doesn't agree, but only because I'm so extreme when I say this. But for me, that is one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time, Aaron.
Wow.
I think it is fantastic. Rarely has a movie ever the range of emotions and the different ways in which it made me laugh, the creativity in which it accomplished these goals. And just the base storyline, like imagine making a massive Hollywood hit with a Chinese American woman as the lead in a world where if we make an animated movie, we're just like, let's cast Chris Pratt because it'll make millions. Like, it's so risky, so weird, so out there, and yet it is so perfectly put together. Yeah, Everything Everywhere All at Once, easily, in a year of good movies for me personally, easily my favorite movie of this last year. So definitely watch it, and I'm interested to see what you think.
It is. I'm not as high as T-Bob, so he kind of pegged my opinion there.
We started last night.
It is very, very good. It's an A- for me, not an A+. I really, really like it.
That's fair. It's an A+ for me, though.
We started it last night. Night. Got to finish it tonight. So we'll see.
I'm trying to. So I've been watching. Do y'all ever like, Brum? You might like this. I don't know about you, Aaron. Do y'all like behind the scenes stuff? Like, I love making ofs. Right. Yes. I love seeing the creative process. The problem is with a lot of making ofs, you're getting the fantasy version of it, which I still love. Do not get me wrong. Yep. Like, I still love it's all roses. Look at us. We're a bunch of creatives. And
everything just magically came together to create this thing that everyone knew was going to be a big hit, the whole time when they were making it.
Well, yeah. You just don't see a lot of like the disagreement all the time or a lot of nitty gritty. Well, I got to give a shout out to, Double Fine Productions. Double Fine, of course, is a very famous video game company. Well, back in the day, they were one of the first big Kickstarter projects, and they created this game, Broken Age. And one of the pitches on Kickstarter they would make like a very long documentary chronically in the making of. It ended up coming out about 12 hours. Now, they just released one on Psychonauts 2 that's like 22 hours, right? But I have gone back and I've been watching that original Broken Age documentary. And if you want to really see, like, by far the most true and honest behind the scenes that you can see of how a video game is made and how fucking impossibly hard these things are to make, I cannot recommend this documentary enough. It's fantastic.
Yes.
I started actually playing the game last night, Broken Age. It's very good. Again, it is, if you are into behind the scenes stuff, I can't recommend enough. It's taken away from everything. I was trying to do a full Mandalorian rewatch ahead of Wednesday's Mando season 3 premiere. Aaron, get ready. Let's go. But I got distracted by Double Fine Production, so I wanted to shout those guys out.
My behind the scenes is the I just finished the full send, so a little behind the scenes of what it takes to be a professional PGA golfer and how difficult that is.
Tight.
My vision.
That's the
Full swing. You mean full send is the podcast, is a very popular podcast.
Yeah, that's true. Whatever. Yeah, full swing.
So this is like the F1 show, but with golf.
Correct.
With golf. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds kind of tight, actually.
A lot of like PJ live hate throughout the whole thing. I thought it was well done, really, really well done.
Who's the
new Formula One actually did just come out, so I gotta watch that.
Who's the big like winner? Like which guy do you like way more than maybe you thought you did coming out of Full Swing?
Oh, really, really respect Rory a lot more.
Okay, dude.
I mean,
shout out.
He took a big stand, and if you follow golf, you obviously know this, but like, when the whole live thing came down, he kind of put his foot down, and him and Tiger kind of bonded together. It was like the two leaders of the PGA. Like, no, this is the better league. This is where the best players need to be. This is where the best tournaments are. And just said, no, screw that, man. Like, I'm staying here. I'm committed. And what he did behind the scenes and what he is continuing to do to make the game of golf better for this generation, the next generation, the next generation, the next generation. I think it's really impressive. He's not just about showing up to the course and playing golf. Like, he really puts time into trying to make the game better for fans and for kids. And I kind of really appreciate that, because it's not all about him. I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, that's kind of funny too, because isn't that Liv's entire justification? Like, that's what they try to say that they are doing, is making the game better for future generations, blah, blah. I'll say this. I haven't seen the show. Thomas Dare says, didn't think I could hate Koepka anymore. I don't know that there's a more unlikable human being on the planet than Patrick Reed. Patrick Reed is a Baton Rouge native, and no one claims Patrick Reed. They're like, no, he's from Georgia, I think, actually, even though he went to high school.
No, Georgia doesn't claim him either. You keep that on Georgia for stealing. Georgia.
Oh, man.
I see the Brooks Koepka episode's really, really. That's been the one that's been, I guess, the most debated about, because of his obviously personality and some of the stuff he says. I didn't really have like that big of an issue with some of the stuff he said. Like, he's a competitor. Like, I get it. Like, he really opened up about his mindset of, how difficult it's been for him to not be at the top of his game and not winning. And like, he was really open and honest about it. And I think it kind of took people by surprise. They're like, wow, like, he kind of unleashed a little bit. I was like, I mean, as a former competitor who, for me, like, I was at the top of my game for a long time. I was one of the best high school quarterbacks, one of the best, college football quarterbacks. I kind of lost it and then, just slipped away and, ended up, only playing a few years in the league. Like, I get where he's coming from. So I feel like you have to kind of have gone through it similarly. But he's just, there's no BS with him. Like, it is all about winning. And if he's not winning, he's just pissed off.
Brooks Koepka is a great example of people say they want honesty, but what they really want is what they want to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Yes, I mean, I think you see that makes, but how does he tie that into going to play for Live? Because one of the more competitive,
I think he wants to win.
Okay.
I think he just wants to win.
So he's admitting that it's an easier path to winning.
Okay, yeah, a couple of times he's like, I just don't know if I could beat these guys. I'm just gonna be honest. Like, these guys are just, yeah.
Okay, maybe we need to check out some Full Swing, dude. Okay, well then, you know what? As we continue our stream of consciousness into the show, you know who didn't get pegged? AJ McCarron. Shout out to him. I really actually liked his comments after his XFL game, where he was like, "Look, man, I could have stayed. I could have been NFL backup, but like, my kids have never seen me play. Like, I want to play again. And so, yeah, I joined the XFL. I thought that was pretty cool, man. Less money, but somebody who really wants to be out there actually slinging the rock a little bit.
I can't wait for that XFL logo on his chest soon. That's me.
Oh man, I wonder. Now you got me thinking about Dan Lanning's wife's cleavage on his love handles again. Yeah. All right. That'll do it for today's show, I believe. Anything else? Anything we missed on? I feel like this is a fun little meandering into the podcast. We love you all very much. If you're watching on youtube.com/thevolume, please hit the like button. If you want to help out the show, some other ways you could do it. You could rate, review the podcast, and subscribe to the pod wherever you listen to pods, Spotify, Apple. That really helps y'all. Kind of tells the robots that people like it, helps grow it. You could also go to a FanDuel Sportsbook app and use the promo code SNAPS for some great sign-up deals when you go. And I'll leave you with this. We learned on my morning radio show today, Aaron, that Steve Irwin, his birthday would have been this weekend. Do you believe, Aaron? Because I think it's pretty fucked that a stingray is a thing that did in Steve Irwin at the end of the day, right? It's one of those great ironies, one of the greatest ironies of my entire lifetime, where this guy who handled all the most dangerous animals in the world gets got by an animal that, we let little kids swim with all the time. Do you think that we should sacrifice 1,000 stingrays a year in the name of Steve Irwin just to let those stingray fucks know that we haven't forgotten?
Oh, God, no.
Okay.
I think we just started the show talking about animal cruelty.
It's not cruelty if there's a purpose behind it, okay? And it's to make those stingrays know that he may be gone but not forgotten, and it ain't going to happen again.
I love that you're the Thanos of stingrays.
Look, man, I cannot abide by what they did to my boy. Y'all have a great day. We love you. We'll see y'all later.